everyone, and welcome to the From the Ground Up show. I'm Laura Stewart, and this is Jas Takar, and today we're going to be talking about webinars, why you should do them, what you need to plan around them, and then ultimately what you do with them after you've recorded them.
Yep.
So Jas, we started this many, many years ago with our database where you guys were doing, I think every week at one point.
Well, I think what actually first we were doing, and I think it's important that we backtrack, right? Where we were doing in-person events. But with in-person events, you can only get to so many people, right? Here at the office, we were doing them for probably about 70, 75 people max, and then at times we would get hotels, and we would have maybe a couple of hundred people. I think the biggest one we did was at a banquet hall for a little over 500 people. But once we realized that you can record it on video, you got the ability to go out to the masses, to everyone in the world, and you allowed people to watch it over and over again. So that's how it kind of started.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because we were doing that already before the pandemic started. We actually already had a leg up when it did start, and we had nowhere to go, and we couldn't do live events, and so we just carried on with our virtual webinars that we were already doing.
And luckily, we knew how to use Zoom because we have our clients and investors, like our real estate clients, right across the country. So we were already using Zoom. So when this all happened, like once we got into lockdown, we're like, okay, let's just shift towards educating our clients, and we're going to talk about what the webinars are and what you should be speaking about and why. But we were able to I hate using the word pivot because I know it was overused for the last 2 years, but we were able to do that quite quickly because we already knew the platform.
So it's really interesting because I think you can kind of look at webinars in two ways, right? You can go down the live route, which is essentially a seminar that you host on the web, hence webinar.
Did you just Google the actual definition?
I actually Googled it just to make sure I understood what it was. Where you invite people at a specific date and time, and you have them come on, and you're educating your clients on whatever real estate advice or mortgage advice that you want to give them that day. I think a better route for people who really are getting started is actually to pre-record it.
Yeah.
Because if some people aren't comfortable with the camera and then they have comments coming in, and if they make a mistake, they're too nervous, there's just too much pressure on the live recording.
And the internet goes out, not to cut you off, sorry, Laura, like how many times, like when we were doing them live, and we still do a live webinar as well, but we do majority of our stuff pre-recorded. You're right, like the internet goes out, and then when you're starting to what you said, it's just so much that you need to handle.
You're so nervous already,
100%.
and I know you're freaking out the night before, and you're writing all your notes. You want to make sure you know everything, and so I would just give the advice: look, just do a pre-recording and then send it out to your database, which we're going to touch on later. But I think the most important part is what you're probably wondering is, okay, Jas and Laura, great, I have to do a webinar, but what should I be talking about? Where do I get these topics from? So what's your advice?
Well, look, I mean, I think the best place to start is the questions that you're already getting, right? And so you might get questions that you think, okay, people are not going to care about if you actually elaborate and try to do a 30-minute discussion around. For example, as real estate agents, you get the question all the time that, what's the cost of closing, right? When you're doing, what's the closing cost when you're buying and selling or investing in real estate? Now, that could be answered in less than 1 minute in a video, or you can sit down with a real estate lawyer and really elaborate on every single cost, but also the top 3 mistakes that lawyers have seen purchasers make, and or the top 3 mistakes that the lawyer has seen sellers make, right? You can quickly see how you can take the questions that you get on a regular basis and turn them into a 20-minute webinar, 30-minute webinar.
Now, a big concern we always get from our clients who are just getting started is, okay, I got my topic, this is great, but here's the thing, guys, I don't know that much about XYZ topic. Like, I'm not sure I'm comfortable enough to be speaking about market stats. I'm not sure I'm comfortable enough to be speaking about mortgages. Great, you don't need to be the expert. And I think that's what the beauty of this is that you can bring on all these experts, they come in, they're speaking to the topic, and you're just asking these questions and having people kind of be a fly on the wall, learning along with you as you ask these questions.
And you become the authority by association. So if you're the person who's bringing on, you said market stats. So let's just say you bring on a major economist from one of the banks, or you bring on your broker of record who's been in the business for 50 years or whatever it is, or he or she just happens to know a lot more about real estate because he or she has seen a lot of the dips and the peaks and valleys when it comes to real estate. Because you know that person and you're the one who's bringing that education to the marketplace, specifically your client base, you now look like you're the authority as well, right? To your point about hosting, it's one of the easiest jobs to do. I mean, this format's different. You and I are going back and forth, shooting the breeze. It's more conversational. We've done this, I don't know, collectively now. I think we're close to probably about 20,000 hours of video, right? And so this is a different format. But when you're hosting a webinar with a guest, you got your 4 or 5 points. I don't want to call them questions because I think that's where people have hang-ups and that's where it becomes more interview style-y. I think it should be 4 or 5 points. But the guest is generally doing the heavy lifting. They're the ones who are bringing the expertise to the table.
One place I think people get hung up on is the actual logistics around recording. So right now, Jas and I have 2 cameras on us. We have someone manning it. We have our little stage set up, and that's great. But again, you had already mentioned that we've done 20,000 hours of video already. That's not how we started. I don't want
Well, sorry, Laura, hang on. Just to that point, really quickly, we do shit from our phone all the time.
All the time.
So there's no excuses.
Exactly. Well, that's my point here is with the webinar. I don't want you to get hung up on this is going to be some mega show production and I need a set and I need lighting and I need my hair and makeup done and I need 16 people around to cut and edit and make it perfect. Like, just take a breath for a second. The only people who are going to be watching this are the people you tell about it.
Yeah.
So be conscious of that. If you're going to throw this thing up on YouTube, organic reach on YouTube isn't very high.
Not at the start, obviously, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just take a breather. You don't need to get all fancy about it. It's your client base. They know you. They will give you a pass if the lighting isn't great or the audio's not perfect.
And especially when you're doing educational stuff. If you're making a music video or you're like more in the entertainment content realm, then I get like people don't give you as long as a leash when it's compared to when you're educating someone. They know that you're trying to actually bring value. So for some reason, I don't know what it is, they just give you a longer leash, especially the people that you're going to be sending this to, which is your database. And I think you need to touch on that.
But first, how would they record it then?
How would they record?
Yeah, if they're not getting all fancy with all these cameras and stuff.
A free Zoom account.
A free Zoom account.
Zoom account, okay? You don't need to upgrade into all their packages and stuff like that. You get a free Zoom account and you send the link of your Zoom account to your guest, the real estate lawyer, the mortgage broker, the economist, your broker, the home inspector, and we have a full list of webinar topics, like whatever platform you're watching right now, just put it in there and say, I want the list of topics, and we'll give that to you for free. There's no cost for it. You send the link, and you have a conversation for 15, 20 minutes. The recording on video gets sent to you, the video and audio file, it gets sent to you by email within 15 minutes after completion.
Okay, so now you're done your recording, and you think you got the hard part over and done with.
Yeah.
Technically, that's true because you should already pat yourself on the back for actually getting in front of the camera and pushing yourself to do it because I know it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. No one's going to know about it unless you send it to them. So you're going to take this recording that you did on Zoom and you're going to throw it up onto your YouTube channel. Forget putting on an intro and an outro. Just get the thing up there. Then you're going to take that link to YouTube and you're going to send your database an email. The email doesn't have to be fancy. There doesn't need to be pictures. All you need to do is do a quick little blurb write-up saying, hey, guys, I just sat down with my mortgage broker and we talked about X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. Be sure to watch the full episode by clicking here. And you give them a hyperlink to YouTube. And then, more importantly, every single person you talk to from here on out, you gotta let them know that you're providing educational content on YouTube and that they need to go follow you, subscribe, hit the notifications button so that they can see all your future videos.
All of what Laura just said, I mean, you articulated it so well. it's all under the umbrella of stop being a secret real estate agent and or secret mortgage broker. And if you're not telling people about it and you're not sending it to your database, don't do it. Really, like for what? Like just to find out the closing costs from a lawyer? You should know that anyways, you're licensed. And so like if you're not gonna send this to your database, don't even do it, right? I think that's very, very important to mention to people, but here's something that I wanna leave everyone with. One of our actual clients, and this is not a testimony, if you know Laura and I from any other platform, and most of you do if you're watching, he just did a webinar about investing into pre-construction condos. He sent the webinar to his clients, a client that never, ever opened his emails or actually ever called him, did open this email, watched the webinar, called the agent.
Make sure you have a good subject then.
A subject line? Yeah, and you gotta try, you gotta test them. You gotta test all those subject lines. The client saw this webinar, emailed the agent and said, I want to buy a condo. It was in Toronto. It was a $50,000 commission. The client bought the condo. It all came from him sending the webinar. Now, we should have a disclaimer that says that's not going to happen every single time that you send the email. He got a little lucky. The guy's a good closer as well. He knows how to do this. He knows how to do the business,
he's one
right?
of the best in the business.
He's one of the best in the business. But he sent the email. For him to even get a crack at it, he had to actually send those emails. So it becomes a numbers game. The more webinars you do, the more that you send it out, the more times that you pick up the phone and call, you'll actually have a better chance at it.
Isn't that so funny that every realtor that we talk to is always like, I need more leads, I need more leads, I need more leads. And here's the beauty of something like this, and this proves the point, is that the leads are already in your database. Like, you don't need new leads. You have all the blood that you need. You just need to provide information that's valuable to them, and they're gonna do deals with you. At the very least, they're gonna refer you or forward that email to somebody else. So guys, I wanna leave you with that today. I hope you consider doing webinars. I hope that you give it a quick little try, and if it doesn't work the first time, guess what? You need to try it again and again and again, because I promise you, eventually it will.